This is a story in 3 acts. The first is the numbers surging at the border. The second is how the politics changed. Greg Abbott bust this problem into Democrats' laps. The third is where we are now, in an election year, with a bill that died, with migrants still coming, with buses still running, with cities still struggling, and no answers.
Immigration has always been an issue in American politics. You don't need to know a lot of American history to know that there have been periods of mass immigration followed by public reactions. The level of immigration, particularly in the past decade, has been quite high.
For years, federal officials, lawmakers, and residents along the 2,000-mile border with Mexico have grappled with how to handle people who illegally cross into the U.S. As Border Patrol encounters hit records, it's arguably exposed the U.S. immigration system as an underfunded, opaque, and obsolete relic that's bursting at the seams.
President Obama became known in advocacy circles as the deporter-in-chief, especially during his second term, when he really made a point of sending a lot of people back. After President Trump's tactics, which were certainly widely unpopular within the Democratic Party.
Trump threw a lot of people back out of the country with powers that don't exist anymore. Title 42 is one of them. That was a sort of pandemic-related power where the pandemic was almost an excuse for what was essentially a deporting authority. America's immigration system is just designed for a completely different era, completely different numbers.
The record numbers of apprehensions likely don't tell the full story, because the historical data leaves out people who evaded U.S. Customs and Border Protection's agents. In recent years, the apprehension rate is much higher because most people want to turn themselves in and apply for asylum.
When you live in Texas, people constantly talk about the border. But Governor Abbott started Operation Lone Star, and the state legislature passed billions of dollars for resources to go towards the border.
In April 2022, Governor Abbott decided federal authorities weren't doing enough about increased border crossings. So he took a political gamble. He directed the Texas Division of Emergency Management to charter buses to take people who entered the U.S. illegally to northern cities, or as he called them, sanctuary cities.
One of the buses after that landed outside Vice President Kamala Harris's residence in Washington.
Sending them to Denver, sending them to Chicago, sending them to New York City. Around the country, cities, large and medium-sized, governed principally by Democrats, began to feel the weight of this strategy by the Texas governor.
All of what we are dealing with, whether it be in Texas or in New York, is a result of Joe Biden's open border policies.
Immigration court records suggest that northern states like New York, Illinois, and Colorado are among the most affected by the busing surge. Migrants listing an Illinois address for their court case jumped 9-fold in 2023 compared with just 2 years earlier.
With each bus, Abbott has made this an issue that has just burst onto the 2024 scene. It was impossible for Eric Adams to ignore in New York. The Democrats were compelled to do something.
That, in turn, made it a critical problem for one person above all: President Joe Biden.
In some ongoing surveys, immigration inched above inflation and high prices as the number one issue on the minds of the American people.
Likely pushed in part by Governor Abbott's busing strategy, talks kicked off between Senators Chris Murphy, James Lankford, and Kyrsten Sinema to work on an immigration bill. The bipartisan proposal included $20 billion for the border and tightened criteria for asylum claims.
Biden agreed to a bill that included a lot of stuff that Democrats very recently would never have agreed to. It was a bipartisan compromise. There was stuff in there that ticked off Democrats. There was stuff in there that ticked off Republicans. But it was something. Finally, after years and years and years of false starts, that there was some kind of deal, but it just collapsed. Donald Trump made it clear he opposed it. House Republicans followed Trump.
The Biden border bill would turbocharge the invasion, the continued invasion of our country.
The motion is not agreed to.
Madam President.
The majority leader.
He wanted to keep the focus on the crisis, and he wanted to have the issue for the fall campaign, and he didn't pull his punches. He said as much, that this would be political malpractice, in effect, for Republicans to agree with Democrats on a bill that could help the president take this issue off the table for the fall.
Republicans, in some ways, were the dog that caught the car. They got the bill that they had been chasing for years and years and years and years.
Southern border crossings haven't fallen since Governor Abbott's first bus. Last December, thousands crossed the Rio Grande every day to Eagle Pass, Texas, local officials said. Abbott, a Republican, has sought to keep immigration center stage in the national discourse as the 2024 election approaches. We spoke to Texas residents living along the border to hear their experiences.
The river's due west. On this place, 10 years, and then, we've ranched on the Mexican side for a long time. 300 years, maybe, since 1701. All right, let's go. Maybe a couple thousand people have passed through here, probably in 9 months. They put this wire in here about a year ago, and I did it so I wouldn't lose any more cattle. But what we need is people to stop believing that somehow this protects anybody, because it doesn't. I mean, I don't feel protected or less protected if and when they come and take it out. All this causes stress on the locals, right? Emergency rooms, first responders. Does the state government respond by offering them help in the form of ambulances or more people in the emergency room to deal with it? No. What they do, they want the psychosis because they want these people now to go on TV and tell the world that they're suffering and that they're overwhelmed. And the truth is, we're fine. We're fine.
Texas sought to barricade the border city, even barring Border Patrol agents from a local park. The Justice Department has warned Texas that the U.S. government controls the border, not any one state.
Right now we're in Shelby Park and Eagle Pass. This has really become the boiling point between the state of Texas and the federal government.
We had an influx between 4,000 to 5,000 a day. Ever since National Guard took over Shelby Park on January 11, 2024, there has been over a 90% decrease in illegal border crossings at Shelby Park. And it's all because of the physical barriers and the fact that we have a presence along the river. Now we're seeing that influx move further west, Arizona, San Diego, New Mexico, and it's all because of those efforts that we're doing in Texas.
Eagle Pass, the city, the county, they're doing a great job. We are a nonprofit organization. We are serving the vulnerable, the community, elderly, disaster relief, now asylum seekers.
Very few of us are touched directly by illegal immigration. And when we are touched by it, it's probably positive. We just don't see it. And I would ask them too to look at these clothes and say, okay, within this pile of clothes, there's 1,000+ stories of anguish, misery, desperation, hope, maybe even a little joy now that you made it on this side.
Salí porque soy una persona que fui agredida por el padre de mis niños. Fui agredida a puñaladas. Pegó 19 puñaladas. Tenía miedo de estar ahí y por eso me vine.
The border fight isn't going away anytime soon. Biden and Trump visited the Texas border on the same day in February. Border states and the Biden administration are arguing over long-established federal jurisdiction over border and immigration issues. The Supreme Court is likely to weigh in. The issue will certainly be top of mind for voters in November.
We have spent the better part of 20 years trying to get together across party lines to create comprehensive immigration reform. We have failed at least 3 times. After the last failure in 2013, the 2 political parties have gone in opposite directions. The center has been hollowed out on immigration, making it now almost impossible to find legislation that majorities in both political parties would support.
One of the takeaways I think that's lost here is that this might have been the only shot. Other people are more optimistic than I am. They might be right. The window of the political will for this bill was unique. And the question is, does another one open? And it's not clear.
Y me dieron eso de que iba permiso para estar en este país. Entonces me alegré bastante. Digo, pues, qué bien, digo yo, que me recibieron.
They deserve a shot. You know, how we give it to them or whether we give it to them, you know, it's above my pay grade, but I certainly don't believe we should be doing this. And I was wrong to do it.
The system is completely broken, and people who've been trying to fix it for years are banging their heads against the wall because things just stop and start and never get going. This bill was the closest they've come by a mile